then I'm just gonna keep talking about this mystical creature. But but if there is anybody in my life on this planet that I truly love, honor, and respect, it is my Uncle Chubby. My Uncle Chubby is probably just about one of maybe a handful of people that can actually correct me, check me, or who could just tell me to blindly stop doing something and I will stop. If he said, "Hey man, just hold on," and I'll be like, "All right." That's how wise he is. That's how much I know that he not only loves me, but got my back. That's just, hey, we all have to have people in our lives that we submit to. And he is definitely, why is my arm so ashy? And he is definitely one of those people, if not the foremost person that actually can that has that type of rapport with me to where I trust and love him blindly. So, with that being said, we have been talking about Donald Trump. And I love the fact that my uncle has not only talked to me about Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, but he's challenged me. And I love that because that is what this is all about. And I don't know if he would ever do it. I'm sure he's going to watch this at some point. He probably sleep now, but I don't know if he'll ever do it. I would love to have him on the show. But with that being said, we were having a very good discussion, and it really made me say, well, you know what? Let me do what it is that I do and do it, so that there is some real context to my criticism of Kamala Harris and a lot less bias. Because that was one of the things that he pointed out to me is that I am pro-Trump, rightfully so. I mean, I have my reasons why, but the fact still remains is that my platform is pro-Trump, and it's purposely so. And I say that because when it comes to what the media has done, the media has a biased approach to what it is that they do across the board, whether it's politics, whether whatever the topic may be, there is a true biasness, and there is in mainstream media. So we're talking about the big networks. There is no more journalistic integrity. And with that being said, I can't be the person that's in the middle of the road when everyone else is far left or far right. And the reason why is because of what's at stake. Now, if we're talking about something like, whatever, anything else aside from this, I can be more so middle down the road. But because there is so much of an onslaught of the status quo with the left being at the forefront in mainstream media, I believe that I create balance by not necessarily being far right, but definitely being middle right. That's where I try to stay. And I'd say that because the two far lefts and the far rights, they have no middle ground. They are for this person and against that person. And there is no middle. So when you're talking about in the Black community, most diehard Democrats, they are going to vote Democrat regardless of who the candidate is. It could have been Kamala Harris. It could have been Joe Biden. Hell, it could have been fucking Wayne Wiggins. They gonna vote for Wayne ass. It could have been Jeffrey Dahmer. They're gonna vote for Dahmer. And they're just literally casting their vote on that side because it's just not their side. And that's it. It's like ride or die, or as most Black people say, irregardless of the facts. I love when niggas say that. Irregardless of the facts, I'm over here on this side. And that to me is very problematic. So in my stance, and yes, I'm more middle right, I'm not only on that side, but I'm on that side with a very, very important element. Facts. Facts and logic. So, with that being said, that's why I'm in the position that I'm in, and I've taken the position that I've taken is because of that. I believe that Black folks have been on what people on the right call the Democratic plantation for far too long. And I believe that Black folks, particularly, have been voting blindly just because their mama told them to vote that way, their father told them to vote that way, their grandmama told them to vote that way, their pastor told them to vote that way, their best friend told them to vote that way. That's my problem. You should be able to articulate who you're voting for and why you're voting for them, as Black folks say, irregardless of the other candidate. But your candidate should be so strong that you should be able to voice that with just straight truth, facts, and logic. So I can tell you why I'm a Bears fan. I love the Bears, right? Even though they don't win, they ain't been winning. I grew up, I live in Chicago, number one. The history I have with the Chicago Bears, the Chicago Bulls, the Chicago Cubs, the Chicago White Sox, it is one of family, friends. So there is a connection with me and those teams in my personal life. So I remember watching the Bears game with my dad, watching the Cubs game with my dad. You know, my dad getting me into the Sox game so I could see the Sox as a kid. My dad taking me to letting me go and watch the Sox games, but we would go and come over to his house and watch the Bears game and things like that. So, or if my dad was at home, he's watching the Cubs and he off that day. He come over to the house, we watch the game, those kinds of things. So there's a history along with the fact that I live in that city, and that's a team that I grew up watching, grew up loving, and so on and so forth. So I can explain to you why I'm a Cubs fan. Here's the part, the other part to that. Do I think that the Bears are the greatest team today? No. Do I think they are the greatest team of all time? Arguably one of them. And I can explain to you why. But do I think the Cubs are the best baseball team ever? Nope. Do I think the Sox are the best baseball team ever? Nope. I think the Bulls are the best basketball team ever. Nope. But they had one of the greatest eras in basketball where we dominated because we had the greatest basketball player of all time. So you see what I'm saying? Even though I have that personal connection to something, I can still explain to you and give you facts and give you the truth as to not only as to why I personally like them, but why I support them and why I have the position that I have about that particular team. And this is just in sports, right? But when we're talking about how we use our political power. I gotta turn this. I got a new camera, and I need to turn off this autofocus. Can't do. You can't do the autofocus. All right, there we go, and it should make me focus. Oh, that's out of focus. There we go. That's in focus. Yeah, because it'll keep moving and it'll look weird. And I don't want it to do that. Let's see. Yep, that's back. Back. I think that's my sweet spot right there. Yeah. Let's go 8. Yeah, that looks good. Chris. Woo-wee, boy. Look at that nigga there. Looking good. All right. But getting back to my point, that's what I mean when I say what you support and why you support it. We have got to move past the point of just saying because we don't support somebody, it's just because we just don't like them. And the reason why we don't like them is because they don't make us feel good, or we think they this or we think they that or whatever the case may be. It needs to be something substantial. It needs to be something to where, and thank you for that, J4. He said, great show with you and Tommy covering the debate, bro. Appreciate that, man. But it needs to be something where, what up, King Jen? It needs to be something where it's not about feelings as to why I don't support something. It's facts. And those facts need to be fair. So it's like, yeah, I don't like this person because they racist. That could be fair. However, do you need your president to not be racist? Do you care if your president is racist? And if so, then why? And the other question would be, then what about your other candidate? Case in point, a lot of people say that Donald Trump is racist. It's literally been something that has been said ever since he decided to run for president. Because before then, he was the coolest white boy in our culture. Black folks, rappers, celebrities, from Oprah all the way to fucking Lil Wayne, love Donald Trump. Wu-Tang Clan, love Donald Trump. Snoop Dogg. Just go down the line. Tupac, all of these niggas, right? Everybody loved Trump. But once he began running for president and the media said he was racist, then now that became a point of contention and black folks jumped on that bandwagon and have consistently carried that torch. And the question would be, well, number one, pretty much what you're saying is unfounded. And people always throw this one out. This is the one, they throw two out. The Central Park 5. First of all, nigga, that was back in 1985. Nigga, I was probably racist back then, but I ain't now. Whatever. But the other one that they love to throw out is he wouldn't rent to black folks. How many of y'all would rent to black folks? Rent. We ain't saying sell, we saying rent. How many of y'all today would rent to someone who is black? I'm just saying, because if it comes down to Section 8 or something like that, a Section 8 building or something, a Section 8 property that I got, I'm telling you right now, the last motherfuckers I want in my Section 8 property or my low income housing property is niggas. Why? Because niggas tear shit up, especially when it ain't theirs. It's a historical fact. Talking about a nigga who lived in the hood, lived in one of the roughest, toughest neighborhoods in Chicago, and niggas tear that shit up. That's just what it is. So, with that being said, you try to hold those two things against him, fine. What does that have to do with his policies as being president? Is he trying to reinstitute slavery? No, can't do that. Is he creating laws that, specifically affect in a negative way people of color, black folks, or Latinos? No. But let's go and flip the coin. Did Joe Biden do that? Well, yes. He actually has said that a grand cyclops of the Ku Klux Klan, who is a politician and goes by the name of Robert Byrd, was not only one of his dearest friends or closest friends, but was also his mentor. Number one. Number two, he actually is the person who wrote the 1994 crime bill, which in fact is responsible for locking up disproportionately the most niggas ever since slavery. So if you take the slavery numbers, you count and say, hey, this is how many niggas we got that was enslaved, raw ballpark, right? You miss a nigga or two here or there. If you take that number, the next number closest to that slavery number is the number of the people who were incarcerated under the 1994 crime bill. Number 3, he also said, if you don't know who to vote for, black folks, between me and Donald Trump, then you ain't black. Now, you can debate, you can discuss each one of those points on both sides. However, we have statistical factual data that shows a clear bias based on color on one candidate, which is Joe Biden. And then we have another who is maybe saying something that is offensive, Central Park 5, because he didn't prosecute none of the Central Park 5. And ain't no niggas went after the prosecuting attorney, the police, or anybody else that was involved with the actual prosecution of the Central Park 5, whom I might add confessed and said they was guilty. But be that as it may, you're talking about one person who actually did some shit against niggas and one person who actually said some shit against niggas. If you are in any shape, form, or fashion saying that the reason why you don't like one or the other because they racist, how can you vote for one and then just say you don't like the other one and just vote against that person on that principle alone? Makes no sense. So that's the logic and truth part that I was talking about. Let's fast forward to Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. Now, one of my biggest things about Kamala Harris is that, and this should be everybody, we don't really know who she is as a person. We really don't know what she stands for because she's taken no stances. And also, you also have to realize that we really, honest and truly, have never seen anything that she's actually done for black folks, even up to and including the fact of her even acknowledging what her nationality is, or should I say her ethnic background is. So with that being said, and not to say that she got to, I don't think she has to. I think the fact that she hasn't, I think that is more than enough proof in the pudding that she actually is what she's saying that she is. Yes, I am, honey.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was calling something.
Oh, okay. All right. All right, baby. You on speaker. I love you too. All right. Bye. But she didn't come out and say it. So it's like if someone asked me, or people wanted to know, hey man, is Brian black? If I don't say it, what does that tell you? The other thing is, if you really want to know if I'm black or not, if I tell you that I wash my greens in a bathtub, there's the answer right there. But that's neither here nor there. I'm just giving you basically a baseline on what it is that I talk about and the way that I'm talking about these two candidates, because I truly believe that when it comes to politics and politicians, there is no perfect candidate. There is no person that you can say, oh, this person is just amazing. They the best thing since sliced bread. No, all candidates have their flaws and their faults. They all do. But you have to move past that part and get to what really matters is you. What really matters is how this particular politician or this person that's running for office, how their policies and their track record are going to impact your everyday life. So my thing would be this to anybody, and I'm hoping that people begin to have these types of conversations so that you can really outline those things. And I would say this, ask somebody when you do talk to them about Donald Trump and Kamala Harris or Donald Trump and fill in the blank or whoever. Ask them this first and foremost. What is it? And those of you that are watching right now in the chat, I want you to just put this in the chat. Name the top 3 or top 5 concerns that you have as a person that's important to you about this presidential election. Top 3, top 5 things that are the most important to you, right? Because you can go down the rabbit hole and you can get very granular about certain things. But what is really the most important thing or things to you? Could be one thing, could be 3, or could be 5. Just think about that. Start there, because I think it's important for people to identify those things in order for you to justify, because you cannot, and this is one of the things that you have to realize, you cannot persuade somebody to like one candidate or the other. You can't do that just by basically saying, well, this person does this person does that. And this is one of the problems that I have with Democrats. They are so busy talking about Trump, and they do that because they really can't talk about Kamala Harris. Y'all ain't got shit to say good about this woman. Nothing. There's nothing good you can say about this woman except for the fact that y'all want to say she's black when she's not, and y'all want to say that she's a woman. And, well, she is a woman. But that's it. You all have nothing you can actually say about this person as a presidential candidate that is of substance, that is substantial to say, well, this person helped, like, a motherfucker talked to me about what's her name? Rosa Parks. I can tell you that Rosa Parks helped spark the civil rights movement. That's something I can say that she did, that she absolutely had an impact on. And yes, there you go. I can also say, what's the lady name? Damn, I'm having a straight brain fart. The Underground Railroad lady. I want to say Sojourner Truth, but that's not her. But it'll come in the chat sooner or later. But I can say that not Rosa Parks, but she was a person who actually led Harriet Tubman. Thank you so much, Chaos. Harriet Tubman actually led several hundred or several thousand slaves to freedom, right? Underground Railroad, that's what she did. She brought slaves to freedom. That's something that she did, that she gets credit for. She freed a whole bunch of slaves. There you go. What is it that is being said about Kamala Harris for the people that are for her? Because everything that people have said about her, it has all been about something that she has not done yet. It's all been about something that she hasn't done yet. Well, she's pro-life. What does that have to do with what she can actually do for people that says she's pro-life? What can she do for you pro-lifers? She says, I'm gonna sign the bill that's gonna give women's right to choose back to them on a federal level. You can't do that unless there's a bill written for it. And then they got to go, and there's a process behind it. She just can't give Roe versus Wade back to people on a federal level. She can't. But she's telling you she would. If the bill comes to her, she would sign it. I tell y'all what, if a bill come to me, I'd sign it. Shit ain't gonna never come to me, right? Exactly. And she knows that it ain't gonna come to her. But That's the kind of things that I'm talking about. So, what I wanted to do was not just make it to where it's me disputing or challenging or talking about her policies. I actually wanted to show you her policies, and I want you to be able to judge for yourself if those policies, number one, are important to you, and number two, are those policies even realistic? And are they actually doable? And ask yourself this: if they are doable, why hasn't she been known for doing them? Like when she was in San Francisco and California, and why she has supported, because she hasn't been the one who went against it, but she supported the legislation to go against certain policies that she's now saying that she's with, aside from the one she just flat out said she would. All right. So let's go ahead and let's look at the black and white first, which is basically the oh, I gotta go here. No, don't I? Yes. Boom. And share. Yes, there we go. Which is her actual policy. So this is her website, right? I went to kamalaharris.com because I wanted to get this information straight from the horse's mouth, right? And say, hey, here's what she's saying. And on this website, of course, you got to get through the donate part, which, like, when you first get to it, they try to tell you donate. I ain't mad at that. It is what it is. But I went to issues, right? And when you go to issues, it says a new way forward, right? Vice President Harris and Governor Walz are fighting a new way forward that protects fundamental freedoms, strengthens our democracy, and ensures every person has the opportunity to not just get by, but to get ahead. As a prosecutor, attorney general, senator, and now vice president of the United States, Kamala Harris always stood up for the people against predators, scammers, and powerful interests. Okay. She promises to be a president for all Americans. Okay. A president who unites us around our highest aspirations, and as a president who also fights for the American people from the courthouse to the White House. That has been her life's work. So you're saying she's been doing this all her life. So then I would ask, why would she then sign and be a part of legislation that has literally hurt all Americans? It has made it to where we cannot get ahead. We just are barely getting by, if getting by at all, because of our taxes. Mhm. And then, if this is something she's been about for her entire life, why is there no type of legislation that has her name on it that she has been the author of that she can cite on her website here today? So, goes into talking about where she's from. She grew up in a middle class home, the daughter of a working mom. Yep, she believes that when the middle class is strong, America is strong. However, the bills that her and Joe Biden has signed, especially the ones she's been the tiebreaker on, have been the ones that have hurt the middle class the most. The middle class is suffering the most because we're paying them we making the money that we're making is being heavily taxed to where we are paying more in taxes than we ever have. That's just a statistical fact. And with inflation, the inflation on those, because of that, because of the reckless spending that they have done, the trillions of dollars they've spent, then we have not been able to afford a lot of things that we could afford 4 years ago, like food, gas, and energy, just to name a few of the three, those major three. So now the first thing that you see is she's saying she's going to cut taxes for middle class families. This is what she's saying she's going to do. And here's my question: if she's going to cut taxes for middle class families, do you not understand and realize that they could have cut taxes for middle class families 3.5 years ago? So the tax cuts that are here right now, she's saying that she wants to cut taxes because she's saying that the taxes that we're getting taxed now is too much, right? Even though they're the Trump tax cuts, she's saying that they're too much because she's saying she wants to cut taxes for middle class families. Why haven't they done that? Vice President Harris and Walz believe working families deserve a break, right? That's why under their plan, more than 100 million working and middle class Americans will get a tax cut. They will do this by restoring two tax cuts designed to help middle class and working Americans: the child tax credit and earned income tax credit. Through these two programs, millions of Americans get to keep more of their hard-earned income. They will also expand the child tax credit to provide $6,000 cut to tax families with newborn children. Okay, hear that caveat. Not extending the child tax credit, but only expanding it for newborn children. So if you already got kids, fuck you. If you are about to have a kid, when this goes into effect, then you get $6,000 one time. How does that help me? Because that kid I get that $6,000 break for, I won't get it that next year. And y'all tell me, are kids more expensive or less expensive? From the day that they're born, are they less expensive or do they get more expensive over time? That's my point. So you see, just reading exactly what she has here, it's not a thing where, oh, this is going to be great. There's always some underlay for the overlay. Because when you ask yourself this question, how many Americans will benefit from this, which is good, but how many more middle class families will not benefit from this at all? That's it. So here we go. And then the next thing that they do, which lets you know this isn't necessarily a strong policy, because if it was, you could just sell it by itself. It's like this. If I tell you, hey, I got some of the best prices for cars in the market. Matter of fact, I got the best price, right? Would I just then tell you, hey, all my cars are going to be $15,000 or less, spanking brand new, right? Would it be good for me just to tell you that? Or do I need to tell you, well, you know, my car is going to be 15,000, but this Chevrolet over here is 24. If I know I'm beating everybody else in the market and I got the best price, I don't have to tell you shit about who somebody else got a price for or what somebody else is selling something for. Just like with groceries, when you see your ad for Kroger, or you see the ad for Walmart, or you see the ad for HEB, or you see the ad for Jewels, they're not telling you what their competitor prices are. Why? Because they believe that what's in their sale ad is the best product at the best price. See how simple that is? So I'm saying to you, those are the things that you need to be able to use as far as just deductive reasoning, as far as just cognitive thinking. It's not necessarily about you talking about the other person, because the more I talk about your ass, it's the more that I don't want you to see what I'm doing. If you the better motherfucker, just tell me how cool you are. Tell me how bad you are. That's it. That's all I want to hear. Tell me how great your policies are, as opposed to just telling me what you think I want to hear and what you think is going to make me feel good by telling me you're not the other guy. And I will say that is my problem with both candidates, because I know why Kamala Harris is doing it, but I don't understand why Donald Trump does that. And I think he's making a huge mistake doing that, so busy talking about her all the time, the way that he does, when he can actually talk about himself and just contrast to what she is. You don't have to tell me everything that she done time and over again. Just tell me how great your thing is. And once I tell you, tell me how great your thing is, I can evaluate that and say, oh yeah, shit, yeah, I do that. That's my point. So it's like those are the kinds of things. Oh, let me make this bigger. Those are the kinds of things that I see that are problematic. And it's like when you just talking about those things and not talking about what you actually are going to do because you're so busy talking about somebody else. Unlike Donald Trump, Vice President Harris and Governor Walz are committed to ensuring no one earning less than $400,000 a year will pay more taxes. Here's my thing with this. And like I said before, we talking about facts, right? Well, the fact of the matter is, this the exact same shit Joe Biden said. And you know what the fact of the matter is? I do pay more taxes and I make less than $400,000 a year. And I'm paying more in taxes now than I did 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago. And you know why? Because that's not fucking true. Joe Biden said the same exact shit. My tax increase, my tax cuts are going to be for everybody except for those that make over $400,000 a year. Y'all got to pay your fair share. She's saying the same exact shit. That's all it is. So she's saying we believe that we need to chart a new way forward by both making our tax system fairer and prioritizing investment and innovation. They will ensure the wealthiest Americans and a lot pay their fair share. What the fuck is that? So we can take action to build up the middle class while reducing the deficit that they fucking increase by giving money to the Ukraine, by giving money to all of these foreign countries and foreign aid. That's all I'm saying. Enacting a billionaire minimum tax, quadrupling the tax on stock buybacks, and other reforms to ensure the very wealthy are playing by the same rules as the middle class. So if you cutting taxes for the middle class, wouldn't you be cutting taxes for the upper class? I don't know. I'm just saying. When you let what somebody is saying and what's actually happening is different. The shit is just different. But let's go to the next one. Make rent more affordable and home ownership more attainable. Right? She took on the banks for $20 billion middle class families who face foreclosure and helped pass a homeowner bill of rights, one of the first of its kind in the nation. Okay, I will give her credit for that if that's what she did in California. I don't live there, but I do know that the housing market there is fucked up, and those homes there are way overpriced to the point to where when people was leaving for the smallest houses, they were getting $750,000 for them. But whatever. Vice President Harris knows that the home is more than a house. It represents financial security, right? And then she goes on affordable housing and all that. Then she says, as more homes are built for affordable housing, supply increases. Vice President Harris will provide first-time buyers, home buyers up to $25,000 to help with their down payment. Here's the bullshit in the game with this. Number one, up to $25,000. So, how do they usually determine that with these types of plans? It's based on your income. So, if I'm a broke motherfucker and I don't have no money, I'm buying a smaller house, I can get up to $25,000. If I'm buying a cheaper house, I'm getting up to $25,000. How many broke motherfuckers can buy a house? Exactly. So it ain't everybody getting 25,000. It's up to $25,000. And it's only for first-time buyers. What if I'm a motherfucker that want to move? Fuck me, huh? How does that help the housing market? There are more people who own homes who want to buy different homes, bigger homes, smaller homes, whatever the case may be, than there are people that are buying their first home. Now, here's the other caveat to that. If interest rates are damn near 8%, this is a drop in the bucket. It's not a proper dropper, just a drop. So it's really not helping. That's just like if you buying a house for $2.5 million and I tell you, well, since you're a first-time home buyer, I'm going to give you, $2,500 off, a $2,500 credit. How does $2,500 help me with a $250,000 house? That's my point. This up to shit and what that actually looks like, and where does that money come from? Taxes. That's it. So it's like those are the things to where it sounds good just by saying it, but when you actually look at it and see exactly what they're saying, the shit don't add up to where it's really something that's going to impact me. Because if I'm not a first-time home buyer, I ain't getting shit. And if I am a first-time home buyer, depending on how big of a home I got and my income, this ain't shit. Because it ain't gonna be everybody getting 25 bands. And what about the people who've already bought homes who are who didn't get to qualify for this, who didn't get this? Buck down. So unless I'm having a baby and buying a house in that first year, none of this shit means nothing to me and isn't gonna impact my financial situation at all. Here we go. Grow small business and invest in entrepreneurs. Okay, that's what she said. Here's my point. It does sound good. It does. Sounds good. Sounds great, right? Let's see if this is what it actually is. Let's see if she says that. Vice President Harris wants to know all small business neighborhoods, shops, high-tech startups, small manufacturers, and more are the engines of our economy. Just as she did as Senator and Vice President, Kamala Harris will always support small business and invest in entrepreneurs as president. However, he was one of the people who was one of the proponents of one of the people who was for the shutdowns, which literally killed small businesses. Which the greater majority of those small businesses didn't survive. And those that didn't survive, only a small fraction of them were actually able to come back. Most of them, the greater majority of them, are gone and won't be back. She has led the Biden and Harris administration efforts to increase access to capital for small businesses. How? And bring venture capital to parts of middle America that have for too long been overlooked. How? How has she done that? Driving a record 19 million new business applications, tripling the Small Business Administration lending to Black-owned businesses, and more than doubling small dollar lending to Latino and women-owned businesses. So why wouldn't there be an increase in not just small businesses, but small Black businesses? So if there is something, and I'm giving her credit to say that there is some funding for it, it's not enough to where these businesses can actually be started to a number to where it's a considerable increase from what was as to what's now in these 3.5 years. Expanding federal contracts to minority-owned small businesses. Okay, I'll give you credit for that. So it's like when you talking about that, how does that change? So then we talk about as part of her opportunity economy agenda, she has put forward a plan to help small business and entrepreneurs innovate and grow. She has set an ambiguous goal of 25 million new business applications by the end of the first term. What does that actually mean? A business application is just you applying to operate as a business. That doesn't mean that your business is up and running. That doesn't mean that your business is surviving, that your business is profitable or anything. It just literally says business applications. Here's the caveat to that. If it was actual thriving businesses, they wouldn't be talking about the applications. They would be talking about the businesses that are based on the taxes they're filing. These new businesses have filed taxes over the past 3.5 years, and it's grown by this amount. But that data is not there because it doesn't exist, because it's of no substantial amount to even talk about. See how that works? See how that works. Now, here we go. She will expand the startup expense tax deduction for new businesses from 5,000 to 50,000 and take on the everyday obstacles and red tape that can make it harder to grow a small business. In the administration that she's in now, why wouldn't she do that part? She will drive venture capital to the talent that exists across the country, including rural areas, and increase a share of federal contract dollars going to small businesses. Why wouldn't you do that part now? That's all I'm saying. Take on bad actors and bring down costs. Now, this is just straight up federal, first ever federal ban on corporate price gouging. That is literally communist, socialist, Marxist rhetoric. You can't have, I don't want, and we should all not want the government controlling our prices on goods, groceries especially. When we got the government controlling food and grocery pricing, that is the beginning of the end of our economy and our country, because they don't even know how to control their spending. Why would we make these people in charge of the pricing and how much a loaf of bread costs, how much bananas cost, how much steak costs? Why would we allow them to do that when these people have mismanaged trillions of dollars year in and year out? No way. No way. So that's a bad thing, period. There's no point in even trying to even argue that. No point whatsoever. And the other thing, what she's saying, she will take on big pharma. Who's done it and how? To lower drug prices and cap insulin costs, not just for seniors, but for all Americans. So you're going to basically make insulin cheap as hell, but how are you going to do that? By making big pharma do what? And what is going to be the price? You think big pharma is just going to bow down and say, yeah, y'all tell us how much we should charge for our drugs? Yeah, okay. So that's a thing to where she can attempt to do it. I'm not saying that she's not or that she wouldn't. She can attempt to do it, but the odds of that actually coming to fruition are slim to none. Strengthen and bring down costs of healthcare. Same thing. This is all grandizing ideas. Oh, is spending so much on this. I'm going to bring that down. There's no plan to do that. She's just talking about we're going to put a cap on this and put a cap on that. Here, cap, there, cap, everywhere, cap, cap. That's all that shit is. Because y'all talk about, we made insulin to where it's capped at $35. Okay, motherfucker, but how much is that fucking that congestive heart failure medicine? How much is that kidney medicine? How much is that cancer medicine? How much is that medicine for my cataracts? How much is that other medicine? So it's like you talking about this one medicine, cool, but it's not like it's a significant amount to where it's across the board to a man. All our prescriptions and shit is so much cheaper now. My prescription used to be $89. Now it's $17.50. There's no plan for that. That's literally just talking about, hey, I'm gonna make it to where the roads are safe and that the bridges are fixed. How? How? Tell me this. On day one, I'm gonna allocate $74 million per city, per state to use for infrastructure improvement. Okay, now I know how. Protect and strengthen Social Security and Medicare. Look at this. Vice President Harris will protect Social Security and Medicare against relentless attacks from Donald Trump. How is he attacking it now? See what I mean? And his extreme allies. How is he attacking medical care, Medicare, and Social Security right now? And here you go. How is she going to strengthen it? By taxing millionaires and billionaires to pay their fair share. So she's lit all of this shit that she's talking about. It's all about taxing another group more money. Fuck managing the budget that we currently have. Fuck stop sending hundreds of millions of dollars over to Ukraine. Nope. It's all about charging more taxes. Exactly, Preem. It's all cap. That's all I'm saying. So it's like she's just literally just talking and just telling people what they want to hear. Support American innovation and workers. Same thing. Created 1.6 million manufacturing and construction jobs. Here's the thing about when you hear jobs being created. Are those jobs part-time or full-time? And compare that to the previous administration, part-time and full-time. You see what I'm saying? So it's like those are the kinds of things when you look at y'all creating these jobs. If y'all creating so many jobs, why there's so many companies laying people off? That's all you got to do is look at it. Why is so many people laying off? Closing stores are closing, people are getting laid off, and it's not even the holiday season yet. And then we all know what happens after the holiday season. It's literally BS. Exactly. This dude Sire said, I live in California and 250,000 will get you a nice cardboard box on a street corner in East Oakland. Exactly. Provide a pathway to middle class through quality, affordable education. Why haven't they done that now? Record investments. Why hasn't Joe Biden and her, since she's the first one in the room and the last one in the room, how come they haven't been the ones pushing Congress to write a bill to do this? Because this could very easily be done. Oh, invest in affordable child care and long-term care. Vice President Harris dedicating is cast the deciding vote on the American Rescue Plan, which made historic investments in care economy. As president, she will fight to lower the cost for American families, including by expanding high-quality home care services. All that sounds like to me is that you're going to take more tax dollars to do this. Lower energy costs and tackle the climate crisis. This is so idiotic to even look at or read because their new Green Deal is directly responsible for the need for any of this. And then this here, this is that bullshit that I be talking about to where when your policies and your campaign is so weak from a policy standpoint, all you do is tell the lie in hopes that it will help people not look at what you're actually doing. You're so busy talking about what somebody else is doing. See that? They got that shit on here at the end of each one of these things. And this ain't even his shit, but they can sure enough lie and talk about it on here. So it's like all of these things on here on her website, she's literally just talking about, oh, I'm just going to do this and we're going to do that and we're going to make people pay their fair share. It's all just word salad, and it's just like Preem said, it's cap. I'm gonna tell you just enough to where you gonna be like, oh, okay, and you ain't gonna ask the question.
Much more liberal stances.
She said she supported taxpayer-funded gender transition surgeries for detained migrants. She also said she
taxpayer-funded gender transition surgeries for detained migrants. She actually said she supported that.
She both wrote and answered in the affirmative.
It would be hard to think that you would come up with taxpayer funding gender transitions for detained migrants.
So that's her saying that, and I'm saying this. Could she have changed her position? Possibly, or she could just be lying. How do you actually know? But you do see what she was willing to stand for at a particular point in time. That should matter.
On the eve of the first presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, CNN reviewed Kamala Harris's policy past and what she claimed she was supportive of in a 2019 ACLU questionnaire. This is a questionnaire that they gave to the Democratic candidates in the primary. She submitted it, and the findings are interesting. Now, during the 2020 presidential campaign, remember that there was an effort to compete with one another and in the Democratic Party. The competition for who's more progressive led to Kamala Harris alleging that she was in favor of some pretty far left social policies. You're about to hear about them in this next clip.
And in this questionnaire, Harris laid out some much more liberal stances, among them on immigration. So in 2019, in what K-File found, she said she would cut funding to ICE, writing, quote, "Our immigrant detention system is out of control, and I believe we must end the unfair incarceration of..."
Our immigrant detention system is out of control, and I believe we must end the unfair incarceration of thousands of individuals and families.
Thousands of individuals, families, and children. I was one of the first senators after President Trump was elected to advocate for a decrease in funding to ICE. Well, now, of course, she's touting the Biden administration's executive order to crack down on the border.
So what does that say to you as far as where she actually stands? And my thing is, if somebody was standing like this in 2019, what has changed? Or, in all fairness, have they explained why they changed? Because we haven't heard it. She hasn't spoken about it. She's just telling you literally what you want to hear.
Hey, don't scroll away. Come back, come back. I love you for it.
And in fact, during her DNC speech, she clearly stated that she wants to pass and sign the bipartisan immigration bill that was negotiated in the Senate, but was squashed because Donald Trump wanted Republicans to kill the bill so he could have the immigration issue to run on.
And here's my thing. I don't understand how they keep saying that when they have no proof that Trump killed this bill. Show the proof. Show the people who voted against it and said, yeah, I voted against it because Donald Trump told me to vote against it. Let's see those people.
Now, since then, Biden has issued an executive order, but executive orders pertaining to the border tend to be a little vulnerable because you have certain organizations like the ACLU who are threatening to sue in order to reverse that executive order. Legislation tends to be a lot more holistic, comprehensive, and more difficult to reverse. Cenk.
Yep. So why was Bernie so popular in 2016 and in 2020? Because he ran on economic populism. You guys remember income inequality. He would not stop talking about it, and he would tell you the rich have too much. We need to tax corporations more, the rich more. We need to get you guys Medicare for all, universal health care, paid family leave, a minimum wage. Those were his bread and butter issues, and he would talk about them non.
And you know what? He was like Joe Biden. He actually won his nomination. And they still found a way to boot him out. They did pretty much the same shit they did to Joe Biden. They did to Bernie Sanders, and was just like, yeah, we know you won, but we want her to get it. So stand down, boy. We should give you some money, but stand down. So it's kind of like the Democrats has a history, and there's a pattern here as to them putting out, regardless of the vote, they're going to put up who they like the most, and that's going to be it pretty much. And y'all going to vote for them. What sense does that make? What sense does that make? But that's how they operate.
Stop. It made him enormously popular. Then progressives attached a whole bunch of other social issues to that, some of which were just Cory Booker and Booker.
Said on immigration, she made this open-ended pledge to end immigrant detention. She said she supported taxpayer-funded gender transition surgeries for detained migrants. She also said she supported
taxpayer-funded gender transition surgeries for detained migrants. She actually said she supported that.
She both wrote and answered in the affirmative when she was asked this. And she said she also supported it for federal prisoners. Now, she also pledged to slash immigration detention by 50%, close all family and private facilities, and decrease funding for ICE, and then the end ICE detainers with local law enforcement.
So pretty much, her being the border czar, now all of a sudden she's tough on the border. With a person who has supported all of this, how can you say that? So if somebody, and this is why I wanted to show this part, so if somebody comes and says, hey, the immigration problem is really important to me, migrant crime and the illegal aliens that are over here, that's what's important to me, you can clearly see that she is not the candidate for a secure border. With things that have occurred, and when you look at the things that are currently happening, and you look at her positions on what she said she wanted to do, she's not the person for the border. So if you are a border person, if that's one of your top 3, one of your top 5, that's important to you as to who you're going to vote for president, she would not be the candidate for you. Period. Period. Now, you may not like Donald Trump, but he definitely has policies that support your concern. You see what I mean? That's my point. That is my point right there. If you're talking about what's important to me, what's going to impact me the most, what do I care about the most, if that thing is the border, I just proven to you, not because of who make you feel good, not because of who the prettiest, not because of who you just like or who your mama and them gonna vote for. I just proved to you the person who has the track record of an open border and the person who doesn't. Clearly, you can see that. Because what Donald Trump has done when he was in office, the border security was at an all-time high. Immigrants crossing over to this country was at an all-time record low. So there you go. Anybody that's debating on who they're going to vote for based on the immigration. So everybody that's in these sanctuary cities, you see who your candidate is for open borders, and you see who your candidate is for a secure border. Trump by landslide. He's not only said it, but he's done it.
I mean, these are things that,
Remind everyone of what Bernie Sanders' stance on what he does is he centers
wages in this country. I think we have to do everything that we can to create the millions of jobs. You think we should open the borders and bring in a lot of low-wage workers? Or do you think maybe we should try to get jobs for those kids? So I think from a moral responsibility, we've got to work with the rest of the industrialized world to address the problems of international poverty. But you don't do that by making people in this country even poorer.
Circa 2015, and that's
0 or 100. And
And that's exactly what she's
have
done.
is a humane. I mean, you're on a different planet. That would pull at about 2%, and it should. Why do we have to pay for gender reassignment surgeries of detained migrants? Like, I don't mind if they get that surgery. They're adults, they can do anything they like. I don't mind if they get it in their home country. If they've gone through a legal process here and they're now US citizens, they can get it here. I support their right to get it completely. But I don't know why I'm paying for it.
So there you go. That might not be your number one thing, but that is just something else as far as where your tax dollars are going. Migrant gender reassignment surgery. What's the cost? Somebody Google, what is the average or starting cost of gender reassignment surgery? Somebody just throw that in Google and put the price in there. But that's the difference in the things you should be paying attention to and like where things are and what's important to you and just literally compare.
Or the ones that just came here without documentation and without the right process.
When you're an American taxpayer who very likely has found yourself dealing with medical bills that are incredibly expensive, or the need for pharmaceutical drugs to stay alive that you can't afford, the idea that your government is now funding surgeries, gender reassignment.
There you go. Ms. Bales put in, thank you, Ms. Bales. Cutting off gender to change in the opposite sex. So here we go. $3,000 to $50,000 per person, depending on what reassignment surgery they get. We got a person who's running for president that wants to use taxpayer dollars to do this for immigrants, people that aren't even citizens. We're not even doing that for Americans that's here today. Why would we do this for immigrants? Reckless spending at its finest. But we got it because we'll just tax people for more. We'll tax the rich for more, make them pay their fair share so these immigrants can get their gender reassignment surgery. So I want to turn boys into girls and girls into boys with your taxpayer dollars. That's all it comes down to.
Surgeries for migrants who are detained at the border. But there was this big poll that came out last year. It led to a lot of people in America, and it shows trans identity. About half said in the Washington Post, Kaiser family access to medication that stops. I'm more conservative on that as well. Or I'm sorry, voters in general. It's not.
Wing is doing demagoguery. There is no nothing.
Yeah, I think
I want to know. Maybe we're out of step. Maybe you guys.
Yeah, because that was pretty much just talking about that transgender stuff. So we can go ahead and move past that because I got this. Right. Why do migrants need that? I don't know, man. But why are we paying for that? So let's watch this and then we're going to wrap it up.
Wonderful. Good. Awesome.
So this is
Madam
recently. I
President,
think she just did this
pleasure to meet you. Thank
yesterday?
You for joining
Day
today. Our
before.
audience appreciates your time as well.
Of course.
As you know, we're sitting here in a state and arguably in front of an audience that 54 days from now could decide the outcome of this presidential election. Yeah. You hear it more than I do. People want to know more about you and about your specific plans. At the debate the other night, you talked about creating an opportunity economy. I wonder if we can drill down on that a little bit. When we talk about bringing down prices and making life more affordable for people, what are one or two specific things you have in mind for that?
What are one or two specific things that you have about that? That's what he asked her. Okay? Specific, not general, not broad strokes. And mind you, this is on a network, ABC, that is pro her. One of her best college and sorority sisters works there, the chick who did the debate. And her husband, that woman that she went to school, is the actual person who runs ABC. So you heard what he said as far as the question. Now let's see what she says in her answer. One or two specific things that you're going to do to help fix the economy.
Well, I'll start with this. I grew up a middle-class kid. My mother raised my sister and me. She worked very hard. She was able to finally save up enough money to buy our first house when I was a teenager. I grew up in a community of hardworking people, construction workers and nurses and teachers. And I try to explain to some people who may not have had the same experience, but a lot of people will relate to this. I grew up in creating opportunity for people, for example, to start a small business. My mother, worked long hours, and our neighbor helped raise us. We used to call her, I still call her, our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small business owners. I learned who they are from my childhood, and she was a community leader. She hired locally. She mentored. Our small businesses are so much a part of the fabric of our communities, not to mention, really, I think, the backbone of America's economy. So my opportunity economy plan includes giving startups a $50,000 tax deduction to start their small business. It used to be $5,000. Nobody can start a small business with $5,000. But investing in people's innovative ideas and giving them the ability to go for it. Opportunity economy means, look, we don't have enough housing in America. We have a housing supply shortage. And what that means, in particular for so many younger Americans, the American dream is elusive. It's just actually not attainable. So part of my plan is to work with the private sector and housing developers to give them a tax credit, to be able to partner with us as the government, to build, and my goal is 3 million new homes by the end of my first term. In addition, to help people who just want to get their foot in the door, literally. And so giving first-time home buyers a $25,000 down payment assistance to be able to just get in the door, and then they will do the work that they need to do to save and to pay that mortgage and to build wealth for themselves and their family. These are some examples of what I mean when I talk about an opportunity economy, and a lot of it has to do with just the community I was raised in and the people that I admired, who work hard, and deserve to have, their dreams fulfilled because they're prepared to work for it.
You talk.
Now, do you see what I mean? See what I mean? He said one or two specific things. And what did she do? Let me just go back so you know what I'm talking about.
Presidential election. Yeah. You hear it more than I do. People want to know more about you and about your specific plans. At the debate the other night, you talked about creating an opportunity economy. I wonder if we can drill down on that a little bit. When we talk about bringing down prices and making life more affordable for people,
bring it down.
What are one or two specific things you have in mind for that?
He said, bringing down prices and making life more affordable for people. Did she answer that, or did she just say opportunity economy? My mother and my family, and we worked, and we knew people with small businesses, and we were doing this, and then we were doing that, and then we were over here, and we were over there, and then we went downstairs, and those people were there, and she was.
I tell you what, man, you want to get a flying cow, man, you go load up them dynamite in an old can like that, you go to boom, man, the old cow fly all over the place. No way, man, dead is dead, man. It's getting old, I'm sitting up there, harnessed into dang old Wedge City up here, man. Yeah, man, talk about boo, man. Hey, man, check it out, man. I don't need no dang old costume, man. I got to put on a bit dang old mind, man. Look, it's like I'm trying to get out of this box, man. Say, whoa, then gonna play tug of war, man. Yeah, Hank, man, will be bogarting that dang old bed.
Tell me that ain't what she did. Didn't answer shit. Didn't give him one or two things. She literally just said opportunity economy, and we're going to get $50,000 for new businesses, small businesses. You get from $5,000 to $50,000. That's up to, and then you have to qualify for that. How does that help me in an opportunity economy? I don't have a small business. Well, I do, but what about a motherfucker who don't? That's my point. And that's why I just literally says, just flat out, she's full of shit. She's telling people what they want to hear. That's it. How long does it take for that to get put in place? She ain't like, on day one, we're going to do this and we're going to start doing that. We're going to cut. She ain't saying none of that. How can you make life more affordable for me? She didn't say anything but a broad general idea of opportunity economy. That's what we're gonna do. Hey Brian, what can you do to help me with my severe clinical depression that I have? Hey man, we're gonna start just making you feel good days. We're gonna have making you feel good vibes and conversation. That's all. Yeah, we just start by just having feel good conversations and encouraging conversations. We'll have an encouraging economy and we'll empower people to help with your clinical depression. Ain't gave me no fucking tools, ain't gave me no fucking coping skills or nothing. Just gonna be feeling good around here. That's what we're gonna do, man.
This appearance is about turning the page on the past. And in fact, here today in Johnstown, you're talking about a new way forward. Yeah. I think some people have a question, given maybe your current role as Vice President of the United States, how different you are from Joe Biden. And so I wonder if there are one or two spots, policy areas or approaches where you would say, I'm a different person.
What one or two spots where you can tell me how you're different from Joe Biden? That's what he asked. How are you different from Joe Biden? Give me one or two spots in areas to where you can say that you are different from Joe Biden. That's the question. Let's see.
Well, I'm obviously not Joe Biden. And, I offer a new generation of leadership. And so, for example, thinking about developing and creating an opportunity economy where it's about investing in areas that really need a lot of work. And maybe focusing on, again, the aspirations and the dreams, but also just recognizing that at this moment in time, some of the stuff we could take for granted years ago, we can't take for granted anymore. For example, another plan that I have that is a new approach is to expand the child tax credit to $6,000 for young families for the first year of their child's life, because that is obviously a very critical stage of development of a child. And a lot of young parents need the help to buy a car seat or a crib or clothes for their kids. And so my approach is about new ideas, new policies that are directed at the current moment. And also, to be very honest with you, my focus is very much in what we need to do over the next 10, 20 years to catch up to the 21st century around, again, capacity, but also challenges.
What the fuck does that mean? How do we catch up around capacity? What the fuck does that mean? And in the 21st century? Do you fucking hear that? That's all I'm saying. How can you vote for something like this? And there is literally nothing definitive, nothing specific. It's all fucking fluff. How can you vote for that? He said to tell me how you're different than Joe Biden. And all she said was, well, I'm not Joe Biden. And child tax credit for the first year and opportunity economy. What the fuck does that mean? Do y'all hear that? And this is her. This ain't got nothing to do with me. And this is her convincing me. Where can I say, hey man, that's really gonna work for me? I can see that. You tell me, how does that work for you? You explain to me, as a person who is voting for her, who says that the economy is important to you. You tell me how this gives you the warm and fuzzies. You tell me how you can go tell somebody else why they should vote for her based on her economy policy. Because if you think all this country needs is for first time people to have children in the first year to get $6,000 tax credit back and to have just what she says is a opportunity economy, if you think that's what's all with the American economy, then we got a whole nother conversation we need to be having. That shit literally was just all fucking fluff. Word salad. Words. I don't know, Larry. He said, does she just mean for the middle class? Don't know. But even if she is, what the fuck does that mean? What does that translate to? Thank you. I don't know what the fuck she's actually saying. I don't know. I don't know what she's actually saying as to how that's actually going to help me.
Crime and public safety are two major issues right at the forefront of voters' minds. In Philadelphia as well, where crime is a significant issue. When we talk about crime, the conversation turns to gun safety as well. And I think you actually probably caught a lot of people off guard, maybe a bit by surprise in the debate the other night when you mentioned that you are a gun owner. I know you said it in 2019 as well. I want to talk about your values on this issue. When it comes to gun ownership, where do you draw the line in America on gun ownership and gun use?
Well, like you said, Brian, I am a gun owner, and Tim Walz, my running mate, is also a gun owner. We're not taking anybody's guns away. I support the Second Amendment, and I support reasonable gun safety laws. Part of my approach to this is I was a career prosecutor for most of my career. I have personally prosecuted homicide cases. I have personally looked at autopsies. I have personally seen what assault weapons do to the human body. And so I feel very strongly that it is consistent with the Second Amendment and your right to own a gun to also say we need an assault weapons ban. They're literally tools of war. They were literally designed to kill a lot of human beings quickly. I say we need universal background checks. The majority of NRA members support that. Why? Because it's just reasonable. You just might want to know.
So she just said, we're not going to take anybody's guns. But then she turns right back around and says, we're going to have I believe in an assault weapons ban. So basically she want to ban AR-15s. She doesn't own one, and neither does Tim Walz, but she definitely wants a ban on AR-15s, and she wants universal background checks. And everybody knows what a universal background check leads to. It leads to gun confiscation, period. So that lets you know she's telling you specifically what she is on. That's all it is. So ain't no more when she's on stage, I'm a Second Amendment person. I'm pro Second Amendment. Yeah. But she just turned right back around and said in the same breath, I definitely want to ban assault weapons, and I'm definitely down for a gun registration because that makes sense to me. Because if everybody's gun is registered, then that way I know where I can go when I want to say now we need to take handguns away too. Because I've looked at autopsies, I've looked at cases, I've looked at dead bodies, I've looked at evidence of dead bodies, and yeah. That's just what she's saying. Flat out.
Before someone can buy a lethal weapon, if they've been found by a court to be a danger to themselves or others, you just might want to know.
Two final questions, if I might.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. On the appeal of the man you were running against, as you drove here today, you likely saw a lot of Trump signs. Mm-hmm. He has an historic appeal in this country. And as you are someone running against him and trying to understand that, I wonder how you distill it. What do you understand his appeal to be? And how do you speak to his voters? Or maybe people who...
Yes. And mind you, you are correct, sire. Not Joe Biden, but she has taken the talking points and some of the agenda from Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and more so, mostly, Bernie Sanders, to put her website with her policies and stuff together. That's what took the month and a half to get all this stuff together, because this stuff has only been up for maybe like 2-3 weeks, if that. Yep. But that's what she believes. That's what she believes.
Just share his values, but are open to something else.
I, based on experience and a lived experience, no. In my heart, I know. In my soul, I know that the vast majority of us as Americans have so much more in common than what separates us. And I also believe that I am accurate in knowing that most Americans want a leader who brings us together as Americans and not someone who professes to be a leader who is trying to have us point our fingers at each other. I think people are exhausted with that approach, to be honest with you. I think people want a leader who has common sense and tries to find common ground. I'm supported by over 200 Republicans who worked for both Presidents Bush, John McCain, Mitt Romney. I'm supported by the former Vice President Dick Cheney, former Congress member Liz Cheney.
None of that means a goddamn thing to me because they're all full of shit too. They are all with the fucking game. So I could care less that these other fuckers in Congress and shit, Republican and Democrat alike, support her. Yeah, because that means they're going to get more of the same shit they've been getting. That's why they support her. That doesn't mean anything to me. You think I would vote for her because fucking Dick Cheney says he likes her and endorses her? I don't give a fuck. But that's what she's talking about. And she's talking about bringing the country together. That's the same shit Biden said. You remember when they said, oh, the lights out in front of the Lincoln Monument are like Joe Biden stretching his arms out to embrace all Americans. We are more divided than we have ever been. Straight up spades game. Us is against them's. That's just what it is.
And I think people are more willing now, in light of the hate and division that we see coming out of Donald Trump, to say,
Hate and division.
Let's put.
How is that hate and division? Tell me what he's done that says hate and division. Just because he don't like your fucking policies? Obviously, you don't like his. So what's the problem with that? How is that divisive?
Country first. And I think that just makes us stronger and more healthy as a country. To say, look, we can all debate our differences around, various policies, but let's stop with the division. Like, enough of that. Let's bring everybody together.
And finally,
let's bring everybody together after we done fucked everything up. Let's bring everybody together after we've given away $200 billion to Ukraine. Let's bring everybody together after we've allowed almost 20 million illegal immigrants into the country. Let's bring everybody together now that we've raised everyone's taxes. Let's bring everybody together now that interest rates are through the roof. We can't afford to buy fucking housing. Now that the inflation is through the roof, it's hard to live day to day. Let's just bring everybody together. What does that mean and how? You are responsible for making my life harder to live. What do you mean by bringing each other together? Because you were the one that fucked up my life and my finances.
finally, as you introduce yourself to America in a new way, they've heard much of your story at the Democratic National Convention and in that debate earlier this week. If there's one thing that you wish Americans knew about who Kamala Harris is that you don't think they know yet, what would that be?
Yes, Calvin, I do think the Democratic Party wanted her. The DNC did. That's why they put her up there. Nancy Pelosi and them did. They figured she was the best bet at that time that they could get together because the only other option would have been to run Gavin Newsom, and they not going to waste that fucking around with her. The only other way would be to run a Governor Pritzker from Illinois, but he ain't got enough notoriety, so they ain't going to do it there. So yes, this is who they wanted, who the DNC wanted to stand up because she was the only other viable option.
I don't know. I mean, probably it's not very different from
He asked her, what do you want people to know about you as a person? See what she says. I don't know.
anybody watching right now. I love my family. One of my favorite things that I lately have not been able to do is Sunday family dinner. I love to cook. I have incredible friends. My best friend from kindergarten is still my best friend. I think that, I mean, I have a career that really, and I said it the other day, you know, as a career prosecutor, I never asked a victim of crime, were they a Republican or a Democrat. The only thing I ever asked them is, are you okay? And
that's the same thing she said in that debate. Are you okay? Are you okay? That's all I care about. Are you okay? That's what I want people to know about me, is that I want to know you're okay.
I think that's the approach that most Americans want, regardless of who they voted for in the last election, in terms of turning the page and charting the way forward.
I imagine you're looking forward to cooking Sunday dinner again.
I am looking forward. Yes, I am looking forward to cooking. With the whole family gets involved, the kids each have their role. Yeah.
Well, it's a beautiful family, and we thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Pleasure meeting you.
Thank you, Brian.
So much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, with that being said, you tell me what she's shown you. This ain't me. This was all her. Her website, her past views, and where she's at today. You tell me how she is the better candidate that has the better policies. You tell me. I mean, you can put it in the comment section. You can put it in the chat where they asked her for specifics. This wasn't just no fly by night, just broad strokes. Give me the high points. Give me the 50,000 foot view of your plan. Nope. Specifics were asked on at least 4 different occasions. And she could produce none. Skate says, cook for who? You ain't got no kids or grandkids. Oh, she got nieces and nephews, and she got her husband's 4 kids. Mm-hmm. Stepkids. Yep. That's all I'm saying. If anybody can dispute that and just go into the chat and just put in there how those specific things that she was asked, the responses is why you're voting for this person. Because the only thing that I heard from her, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, is just saying she grew up in a single family home and her mom was able to buy a house, and she wants to provide an opportunity economy. She wants to give a $6,000 child tax credit for newborn babies first year. And then she wants to increase the homes by over 3 million homes and give you a housing credit of up to $25,000, not exactly $25,000. And then she wants to give small businesses up to $50,000 to start. She wants to increase that from up to 5 up to 50. So you all tell me what I'm missing, and you tell me what it is I didn't read or I didn't hear that actually shows specific responses and answers to the questions that he asked. Because I'm telling you, I don't see it. And that's problematic when you're sitting one-on-one with somebody and you can't even answer a simple question of saying, what do you want people to know about you personally? What's something that you want the people to personally know about you? On your home turf at ABC, where everybody knows your name. You like Norm from Cheers, I guess. Yes, Oganda. He says she sounds very timid and unsure of herself. That's not what I want in someone who's going to be leading this country and in charge of millions of lives. I don't give a fuck how much I don't like Donald Trump. I don't want her sitting down in front of Xi Jinping. I don't want her sitting down in front of Kim Jong Un. I don't want her sitting in front of Putin. I just don't. I don't want her sitting down with the Taliban. I don't want her sitting down with Israel and Hamas. I don't. There was no conviction. There was no confidence. There was literally no toughness in her at all. She's just literally, and let's be clear, that's scary. And I don't know of anybody who could vote for that just or would vote for that just because they don't like Donald Trump. You can't tell me what policies of Donald Trump's you don't like. You just saying he a racist and you don't like him, people. He talked weird. He talked crazy. Fuck what he did. Fuck what the economy was before COVID. Fuck how well the country was prospering before COVID. Fuck all that. We just go talk about he crazy, man. He told people to put bleach in their arms. He crazy, man. That's very problematic when you're willing to choose this over that, when you have a track record and you have this track record. It's not like she ain't got one. It ain't like she ain't got no track record. Y'all just don't want to acknowledge it. Thank you, Juan. Y'all just don't want to acknowledge her track record because it ain't good. And because she's a Democrat and because you done said so much bullshit about Trump, you think you gotta vote for this woman. And if you think she's gonna do all of this stuff and she can't even tell you how she's gonna do it, then you are a fool. I'm sorry. If this was Bernie Sanders, somebody who say, hey, I know what Bernie stands for, I know what he gonna do. You still want to vote for him? I get it. I don't personally like Bernie philosophies, not even maybe 30% of the shit that he want to do, I kind of agree with. But there's no way I would vote for her over Bernie because I at least know what Bernie's going to do and where he stands. Y'all people are not voting for this dude because you just don't like the way he makes you feel. And I keep saying this. I don't need my president to make me feel good. I don't need my president to talk to me and stroke my ego. I don't need my president to like what I like, to eat what I eat, to go where I go, and to say the things that I want to hear. I need my president to do the job, run the country, stay out of my pocket, and keep my country safe and protect my border. That's it. And that's what we should all be wanting. And I'm telling you like this, whatever your top 3 or your top 5 things that you talked about are the most important for this presidential election, those things that are most important to you, you can't tell me out of this interview or out of the other one how those things are specifically what she's going to address. And if you can, please put it in the comment section. If you can, and you want to debate me on this show, please let's do it. Hit me up and let's do it. Because my thing is this. this is one of those times to where it's like, hey, this election is going to matter. And I don't want to pay more in taxes. I don't want to pay higher fees for interest rates. I don't want to be able to where I can barely feed myself, feed my family, get gas, and pay for my utilities just because I don't like somebody. Because she and her regime that she's currently a part of and has signed the bill on at least 6 tie-breaking policies that affect us today, from interest rates to inflation to the economy and to the border. She signed off on at least 6, been the tie-breaking vote to move Biden's agenda forward as opposed to doing what's best for the country. She was the deciding vote. I don't know how somebody can vote for that and be willing to pay more in taxes and to live a less full, financially full life. I don't know how somebody can do that. I hope so, Ace Gates, because that's exactly what the difference was with her and Hillary. The middle class white women was like, nope, not her. Not her. I want to thank everybody for watching this show. I hope that this show helps somebody become a better version of themselves. Most importantly, I hope this show will be the catalyst for us to start having even more conversations about the politics of us Black folk and who we vote for and why we vote for them and the way that we do that. I really do. I want to thank my uncle for inspiring me to do this. I want to thank everybody else that tunes in and watches and clicks the like button and clicks that donate button to support this. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you all so much. And until next time, peace. And I'm out. Y'all have a good night, man. Later.